Hello, I'm Mark Ellis. I'm an author. I write the award-winning Frank Merlin World War II London detective series. I'm here in St James's Park in the centre of London. More specifically, I'm at the location of the beginning of the very first book in the Frank Merlin series. That is called The Embassy Murders. I have it here. There you go. The Embassy Murders. I will read you the blurb. When a brilliant emigre scientist is killed by a hit-and-run driver and the body of an American embassy employee is washed up in the Thames, DCI Frank Merlin and his team are called to investigate. Merlin's investigations soon ruffle feathers at the Foreign Office. The American ambassador, Joseph Kennedy, is a well-known supporter of appeasement and has gained many powerful and influential friends in the pursuit of a negotiated peace settlement with Hitler. The death of yet another embassy employee leads Merlin deep into the seedier quarters of wartime London, until his investigations are hampered by interfering superiors fearful of disrupting international relations. As Merlin is drawn into a web of secrets, what will the truth cost him? And Britain. So this book is set in January 1940, and I'm sitting here where it starts out on a rather sunny, a gloriously sunny, pleasant day in London. So can you just imagine for a moment that it's snowing and it's cold and it's icy, and I will just tell you how the book starts. And so I'm sitting on a road called Birdcage Walk, which is right in the centre of London. Just down there are the Houses of Parliament, just up there, Buckingham Palace. So we're in the heart here. So let me just read you this little part from the prologue to The Embassy Murders. That night the blackout was particularly dark and dense. The man hunched his shoulders as he leaned into the biting wind whistling down the invisible Mall. He wore a mankintosh which hung to within an inch of the ground and a Homburg hat one size too small. In his right hand he carried a heavy black briefcase and the masked blackout torch, which for once he'd remembered. In his left, because of his arthritis, he could only manage an umbrella. He turned a corner and made his way slowly across Horse Guards Parade. A distant searchlight provided only a momentary glimmer of background light. No matter, the suppressed beam of his torch was just enough to lead him over the road into the park and then on into Birdcage Walk, which is where I am. Sporadically cars drove past him, their drivers groping their way through the treacly darkness with blinkered headlights. The man's teeth were chattering now, but he comforted himself that he would soon reach the station. From there it was a straightforward journey. As he walked slowly on, the details of the incredibly annoying meeting he just concluded at the ministry relayed in his mind. Why would they listen to him? Why wouldn't they listen to him? Those pinstripe idiots. Why did he bother? He could feel his blood pressure rising. Count to 20, be calm, count to 20. That's what his friend Spinoza had always said to him when he could see the temper flaring. He was too old to have such a short temper, and he started counting. He'd reached the end of his second 20 when he stumbled on a crooked flagstone, and the torch and the briefcase fell from his hand. The torchlight dimmed still further as it settled against the briefcase. As he bent down, just over there, he heard a car engine revving in the distance. He grasped the torch and stood up with creaking knee. As he bent again for the briefcase, he was aware that the engine sound was growing louder and louder. Suddenly there was a high-pitched screech of brakes, and he felt a massive thump on his shoulder. A searing pain scorched his spine, and he fell forward into the gutter. Briefly he heard the sound of car doors and the sound of approaching footsteps. Then nothing. So that's what kicks off this initial Frank Merlin investigation. There are murders, and Frank Merlin battles his way through and works out what has happened. So this book has been highly praised. I'll just give one example. The Daily Mail called it a real page-turner, juicy enough to devour in one sitting. So I commend this book to you, as I do all the other books in the series, in this award-winning series. And apologies if whatever I've been saying has been interrupted by various people walking past, because unfortunately I can't close off Birdcage Walk to my own use. So all the best, happy reading, have a lovely evening, have a lovely day. Goodbye.